You're listening to the Surgeons of Horror podcast. Hello, welcome to the Surgeons of Horror podcast. Its purpose is to dissect horror films, one screen legend and franchise at a time. Listeners to the podcast series may know that it's also a bit of a mandate of mine to showcase the Aussie horror scene. When I first moved out to Australia some 13 years ago and fell in love with the country that I now live in, I also took along with me a little bit of the love I had for the horror movie scene. And since then, I've been on a bit of a campaign to raise the profile on the Australian horror scene, particularly as it's had such a strong impact over the years to that genre. And today's podcast is going to be no exception to that, as I got the opportunity to talk to one half of the creative genius and minds of Wyrmwood, Road of the Dead, and his name is Tristan Roache-Turner. What I'm particularly excited about is that this is now 3 years on from its release, and it's a significant impact not just on the Australian scene but also on the worldwide scene. And from the fact that this low-budget, down and dirty, gritty horror film was able to make such an impact on the scene is something quite compelling, and a story I, for one, would love to hear from. So without further ado, let's listen to the interview and hear some great words from, as I said, Tristan. My first question was more going to be around, so it's been roughly around 3 years since the release of Wyrmwood, Road of the Dead. That's almost the same length it took you guys to kind of create this labour of love project that you've put together. How do you feel about it now, kind of looking back at it now that 3 years has passed?
I still feel really cool about it. It's funny actually, because I went to a screening of it about probably 6 months ago, and that was the first screening I've done in a while. And that was actually the first time where I watched it, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm actually getting a little bit sick of watching it, because I watched it so many times, man, like 100 times or something.
Yeah.
So that was the first time I actually watched it. I was like, come on, let's get to the good bits. But I still feel really stoked about having made it, and we've got so much imagery every time we sort of see some imagery or some behind the scenes footage or behind the scenes photography. I don't know, it just brings back really good memories, because the way we made it, it wasn't about money. It was about just getting a really cool bunch of people together, and everyone's been really super passionate about it. Moving together ahead as a team, So it was like we bonded on this little project and made a family out of it.
For sure.
There's so many good positive feelings about it. But you know what? In terms of quality, I think we've done some teaser scenes since then, and our professionality has really risen, and we've gotten a lot better at what we do. So now I sort of look back at it, and it's a lot of fun. But I'm like, we could do something a little bit better there, and it sounds a bit sketchy there, and we that scene. But all in all, cool, man.
Nice. So, tell us about the concept of it. I mean, I know that you and Kia are huge fans of both Evil Dead and Mad Max, which you guys have talked about, and and Peter Jackson movies. But and you've gone on record saying how you guys just wanted to go out there and just make a balls to the wall zombie film. But where did that kind of start from? What was the initial concept of Wyrmwood as a story? How did that germinate?
I think the first thing was that we knew that we wanted to make a horror, because growing up watching movies, we just knew that it didn't matter whether it was good or bad, because if it's a B-grade horror, if it's a shit horror, you're still going to get people going, oh, this was so shit, it's so cool. If it's good, people are like, oh wow, that's really good that they did it that way. So it's doing a horror, it's sort of like a win-win already.
Yes.
And we'd actually entered a CC's advertising competition. They had it was a 30-second or 1 minute long. We decided to do a little zombie piece about this zombie that attacks this guy, and then the guy feeds him a Dorito, and then the zombie's all happy, and then they just walk off.
Yeah.
And it was pretty simple. I was actually the zombie in the advertisement, because we just didn't have anyone. It was my brother, camera me being the zombie, another mate of ours just being the guy eating the Dorito. And, we haven't got any sort of makeup experience, and we were able to make a zombie-looking thing with contacts that looked pretty cool.
Yeah,
blood.
Yeah.
you're like, fuck, like, that's all it takes. Let's make a zombie movie. Yeah.
Nice. I mean, you tapped into the right kind of the time with the zeitgeist as well. Like the zombie rage kind of really hit, obviously with the Walking Dead TV series. But like when this film came out, it was right at that kind of point where the subject was really ripe, and you were offering a really kind of fresh kind of take on it too, which I think that's why it kind of ignited a lot of passion in people that were kind of flocking to watch it. You know. It kind of builds itself as this love child between like Mad Max and Evil Dead, as you guys have kind of branded yourself. But who else has been your key influences in that genre? Well, we've mentioned Peter Jackson, but like, I mean, particularly like I think you're a similar age to me. Like during the 80s was this kind of massive boom of like that slasher kind of really bloody, gory kind of horror that was coming out that we were subjected to when we were kind of probably too young to be subjected to, but loved it all the same. But like, yeah, is there anybody that kind of that has inspired you in that area?
Man, for me personally, it's probably mostly just Sam Raimi. Hey, like I just love Evil Dead so much, and like probably the thing that inspired me the most about Evil Dead even was not so much like, you know, obviously it's Sam Raimi and he's awesome, but I just love the casting of Bruce Campbell. Like, the biggest legend, and like he's got sort of that quality of, you know, he can make shit like really scary and really intense, but he's also like super funny. Yeah. And so that for me was just like, I don't know, it's like you got to have the scares, you got to have the gore and the action, but you've got to have like a little bit of funny stuff going through there at the same time as well. And
for sure.
Yeah, for me, it was all just Bruce Campbell, man. Like seeing him on screen, especially that scene where he's going nuts in the lounge room and like all the furniture and everything's going crazy. But that big elk, like, you know, on the wall and the lamps are like doing these ones and doing these ones and he's following like, just like really, really cool. And then probably just bad taste, man. Peter Jackson. It just shows what you can make with a super small budget and just doing whatever the hell you want to do on screen. You know, like I think the opening scene, it's a dude with a massive magnum, just like blowing that guy's brains out. He's got Derek trying to like get him to like get the brain samples. Like, whoa, it's so great. Just so entertaining as well.
Yeah. Talking about Wyrmwood, something that I picked up on. And you kind of mentioned it a bit in your, your commentary on the DVD, but the action is straight away kind of right into the mix of it. You know, like there's people shooting zombies left, right, and center, and it kind of reminded me, or kind of made me think that it serves sort of a metaphor of you as filmmakers, in that you're ready to just get your hands dirty and just kind of get in there and just do it. You know, and that's kind of what we're faced with. So you kind of there's no kind of shying away from that. And I just wanted you to kind of comment on that approach and how you found that approach of just kind of, let's just get fucking dirty, man, and get in there.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Like, obviously, we love getting in there and getting our hands dirty and just making it happen. But, yeah, I think I just love that in movies. I love movies that just go like, bang, there's no beating around the bush. It's just like, this is where you're going, jump on board, into the action. So, yeah, like, definitely, yeah.
There's something about, like, I've mentioned at the head there about Australians there's something about how Australians can tell the horror movie in such a great way. Like, there's so many iconic kind of Australian horror films in that. What is it about us as a nation that kind of taps into that and can tell those stories?
Man, it's probably got, like, something to do with, the dark past of our convict sort of history. Yeah, so, a lot of people are sort of thrown onto this new continent, and, the bush is all scary and there's bad stuff out there. And it's probably sort of similar to the American sort of turning away. Yeah. People that are just thrown into the wild and they have to, like, fend for themselves. And, like, I think that's probably where it is, because, Europe is so much older and have been sort of getting away from the deep, dark forests for probably a little bit longer than we have in Australia and in America. So, I guess it's probably just ingrained. I've heard that whatever sort of trauma people go through, however many decades and generations ago, it actually gets, like, sort of lodged in your DNA. So it takes, like, a couple of generations for that sort of fear and trauma to get passed out of the humanity. So yeah, that's what I think. I think that people just being forced to sort of camp and set up a new sort of environment and building smaller towns like close to something that's like so remarkably different to anything that they've ever sort of experienced, namely in the form of the deep, dark nighttime.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And there is a wild side to Australia as well, not just the kind of the landscape, but the animals and the terrain itself that I kind of think lends itself into the genre in such a great way.
Have you ever actually done any camping?
Yeah, man.
Just trekking out into the bush somewhere completely isolated, staying around a fire.
Yeah. That's right. I was reading an article recently about how the fear of the woods is a known thing. Like it's everyone has it, whether you like it or not. You have it. It's because you're embracing the elements, and your human instincts kind of automatically trigger, and you're kind of any kind of sound outside is like, what the fuck was that?
There's shit out there that wants to eat you, man. Like especially out in the cities, there's like wolves and bears and stuff.
Yeah, man.
Snakes, spiders, but I mean, some of the kangaroos out in the wild are like pretty.
Very aggressively territorial, hey, as well. So yeah, man.
Shredded too.
Yeah, far out. Something I wanted to touch on, and you mentioned it earlier as well, is the and it really kind of, you see it in all the behind the scenes stuff that you've got on the extras of the DVDs, that there's an amazing collaborative spirit that's going on in the making of this movie, from cast and crew alike. And that you were talking about that kind of buzz when you were kind of rewatching, and all these memories kind of flooding back with you. But it is kind of special to be able to have that kind of group of people so passionate coming together to kind of have this belief and this faith in this movie that you guys were creating. When you look back at it again, do you kind of get this sense of rewarding kind of feeling around these amazing people that took part in kind of creating this thing?
Man, 100%. We touched on it before, but it's like 3.5 years, dude. Like that is a long amount of time to invest in, a project of passion. Like that's pretty much a university degree right there. So we had there's about 30 people that were there from sort of start to finish. That we're sort of there multiple weekends every year over 3.5 years. So look back. You know what? We didn't have too many fallouts there. There was probably 98% happiness on set. Yeah. We only had a falling out with a couple of people. And so to look back and just be like, we all worked and all went in the same direction, and just had that people just totally dedicated to the vision was it was really cool. So I do actually get a warm, fuzzy feeling when I think back, man. It's just only good, positive memories,
Yeah, well, that's good. That's a really good indicator. And I mean, obviously, and we'll come to your future projects in a sec, but it must have been rewarding enough that you're willing to kind of go there again and do this again. Do you know what I mean? And kind of venture into that world. But was there any kind of moment? Because as you said, 3.5 years in the making. What was the secret to kind of keeping on going for you guys to kind of keep, because that's a long time in creating a movie. What kept you going? What was the secret to that?
Well, I think the main thing is that me and Kate are brothers. So no matter whatever little fights and shit we ever have, we're always brothers. So we're always going to have each other's back and stuff. And there's times when it gets really overwhelming, but generally we were always sort of in sync. When one of us was feeling a bit overwhelmed, the other one was generally feeling pretty positive.
Yep.
And so we always sort of helped to lift each other up.
Yep.
So that's one point. And then the second point was, keep everyone fed, keep good food on set.
Yep.
Just pump out the love, hey. Just make sure you just constantly saying thank you for being here. I'm so blessed to have you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being a part of this. We're doing something great. Just keep the energy up and just keep being a loving human being and just trying to sort of encourage people and give them big up. Because I mean, a lot of the time, it's a psychological thing. People they need love and they want a reward in the form of recognition for their hard work. So if you can do that, socially, it's good. what we also had was every time we shot, we got fucking kick-ass footage and like really, really cool behind-the-scenes photos. So you go smash this big shoot together. It's like all crazy and everyone's worn out. It's like, we're knackered. But then everyone has a bit of a rest. A month later, you just email around, hey, look at these awesome photos. Like,
yeah.
That's like, Keir's doing all the edit himself, you know. So we go out, we shoot a scene, Keir would take it away to his computer, edit it away. And then you've got like a little sort of 5-minute segment that you can show people. You've got this like showcase material that you go, look, this is what you work your ass off for, 4 weeks or 6 weeks ago or whatever.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to do next. So people, they get a bit of chance to recuperate.
Yes.
And, as we're sort of showing them the project as we go along, they're like, yeah, this is good. It's reaffirming that we're on the right project.
Yeah.
Think positive.
It's funny because like I watched it again like 2 nights ago as well, just to kind of refresh myself. And something that I noticed in this last watching is that there is this kind of there's a fluidity to it, like it's almost like it's a beast in its own right, and I think that has a lot to do with you and Keir's kind of approach as filmmakers, that, and particularly as it said, that kind of curiously enough, because it was told over that length of time, it's constantly adapting and changing, and this kind of and it feels like it's evolving as it's moving across, and it's I'm just wondering, obviously there was blips in the road along the way for that. I mean, part of the most notable part of that was the adaptation of having to write out the Chalker character because he was no longer available, which obviously wasn't part of your original agenda. And how do you feel about that? Having to kind of change the script so drastically in that sense, to kind of have to completely lose a character. I mean, like in the film, he's just blink of an eye, and his head's blown off, and he's out of the picture. But the decision process, I guess, to come to that, to go, we're going to have to let this character go. How difficult was that to kind of go through that, or was it just like, you just got? Was it just a case that you are adapting to the changes and you have to kind of flow where the river takes you, so to speak? No,
it was pretty like obviously. Yeah, when we sort of were having a think about, the availability of the actor who was playing Chalker, it was a bit of a stress because it was like, fuck, we've sort of built this momentum and we have to film on these dates, and if we don't meet these dates, it's going to be terrible, this is a stress out. So, for a bit, it was a bit of a stress, but, it's not like we had to rewrite the entire character, because he was going to be, Barry's right-hand man throughout the rest of the film. So really it's just about, creating a way for him to exit stage left, which is just giving us this opportunity to have like splatter right on screen, right up front. Without being a really big stroke of luck, because as soon as we met with Leon, he came in and he was just perfect, man. And that he brought his own flavour to that character. It ended up being like a really good stroke of luck. So like, I mean, we were like loving that process anyway, because the whole way that we sort of worked up to, I think that was about sort of the midway point of production, and everything we'd done up to that point anyway had been so sort of fluid and changing and evolving as we were going anyway. It was pretty much just sort of rolling with the punches. So.
Yeah, cool. I mean, like as you said, like having the character of Benny come in just kind of gave it that kind of fresh kind of punch, to kind of keep it bouncing along.
I'm stoked to get that indigenous flavour too, because I'm Australian. I love indigenous culture. Yeah. And get that into our film is just like, it felt great, man. Really, really loved it.
Oh, yeah. And it kind of it just works so well with the whole piece too, because obviously Barry's character's gone through this fucking hell to kind of get to where he is. By the time he meets Benny, it's almost like it's the right kind of person he needs for the rest of that journey to kind of push him forward. It's so good. Something else that I wanted to touch on was the look and the feel of the movie as well, because it kind of lends weight to the visual style. I mean, you've got the iconic mask that Barry wears, to the killer zombie truck that you guys kind of built. Can you tell us about the design process behind Wyrmwood, and like how you came up with these kind of little bits and pieces that kind of create the world that we watched the movie in?
Yeah, sure. Mate, it all started with just like a bit of like a mood play, because I knew that I wanted it to be, speaking just about the truck to start with, I knew I wanted it to be a Toyota Hilux, because, we've just go and they go through diesel engines. You can bloody chuck them off a cliff, chuck them in high, put them underwater. As long as you can drain the engine out, they're just good to go forever. So I had this picture of had to be a Toyota Hilux. So I jumped on eBay and I found a Toyota Hilux. I think it was $1,500 or something like that. It had 1 day of rego left on it. So I quickly ran out for it, drove it back legally, and got it registered the next day. And then just basically took it down to an abandoned area and just spray painted the shit out of it with matte black because I just knew it was going to be black. And it had to be a Toyota Hilux. So once we had that, then Kia and I sort of took some photos of it. And then we just jumped on eBay and we're right, what do we want? We want some form of gas tanky sort of anything on the sides. We jumped on Google and tried to find some photos of stuff, found it, cut it out, put it on, found some metallic fencing sort of photos, stuck that, put it on. So it was a bit of a digital collage.
Yeah.
And that gave us a bit of a blueprint for what it looked like. And then it was just about sourcing the exact materials to make that. So once we sort of had the blueprint, then it was just go to scrap yards, keep an eye out when people are throwing stuff out on the street for the rubbish bins to take away. eBay for any sort of, I think we found a compressor on eBay that didn't work anymore for $40 and then rewired it, got it working. So we had some working machinery on the side of it. And it was pretty similar with the armour too. Sort of just jumped on Google and we're just that armour looks cool. NFL player, that looks cool, that helmet, that.
Yeah.
So I just got a big mood board of 100 different types of armour. Mad Max was in there.
Yeah.
And then, just tried to sort of go through and find all of that shit on eBay. And again, just asking friends. A mate of mine plays NFL and he had just a bunch of the shoulder armour left over.
Yeah.
He donated it to the cause.
Nice.
Another mate had a bunch of building stuff and he donated it to the cause. And it's just about, get the idea in your head, draw it down, shitty stick figures, and then make it real, in a digital sense from just downloading pictures off the internet and then just find the actual physical stuff. And it's just about, bolting it all together and spray painting it black.
Yeah.
Then you have to go in there and just dirty the shit out of everything, man. Everything's got to be covered in mud and blood. And we watched a lot of Monty Python when we were younger. It might sound a little bit left field, but Monty Python were really good at doing muck. You go and watch Jabberwocky, man. It's just so much dirt and filth and grime.
Yeah.
And same in Arthur, people just down in the mud, mucky, but it looks so good because the knights get splashed in, filth and excrement and stuff, and they just look with it. So it's just you've got to have that realistic feel of just dirt and grit and grime.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I completely get what you mean as well because it's in Holy Grail. There's a scene where they're walking through all the muck. It's the bit where Eric Idle's doing the whole "bring out your dead" bit, there was a historian that said that that's the most realistic scene that he's seen put on film because it's fucking filth everywhere. And so that's how it would be. But it's great. Well, now that you kind of I think you mentioned it in the extras as well, and you've kind of just mentioned it talking to me as well about you're now at a point where you kind of you're a lot more experienced and more kind of across what needs to happen where and when. What key learnings did you pick up in the making of Wyrmwood Road of the Dead that you can kind of take with you and as you move forward? What was the kind of key things that you go, that was good what we did there, let's never do that again because that was just too crazy? What would you pick up from that? Just a couple of things.
I reckon good ideas can come from absolutely anyone.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter who it is on set, keep your ears open because if someone comes with an idea, chances are it could really work super well on set.
Yeah.
So final product. And then probably in terms of production, probably the more effort you put in before you get to the set, the easier it is when you're on set. So if you do as much planning as you possibly can to this, man, just heaps of to-do lists, just be smashing through that before you get to set. Generally, stuff is so much easier. And then just simple stuff like keep people fed. People, if they're not...
Food, that's it, it's funny how food can just really...
You've got horrible in your hands right there, man, because everyone wants to murder you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, something we haven't touched on is part of what was most interesting about the lead up and the making of and then eventual release of Wyrmwood was the social media reaction, and also the because obviously you started it off as a was it Indiegogo project?
Yeah, we did 2 campaigns on Indiegogo.
Yeah,
campaign, and then we did a post-production one.
Yeah, that's right. So kind of it was born in this kind of very kind of internet web kind of friendly environment, and not only were people jumping on it and being passionate about it, it's established its own community in its own right off the back of it. And that's kind of must be a bit of a weird thing to kind of get your head around. Is like you've created this thing and now there's this other community that sits outside of that live and breathe this thing, and chip in their comments along the way. So like I guess like and it's you're not alone in that kind of environment, but like there is a very kind of small percentage of online community that really pick something up and run with it, and Wyrmwood is definitely in that kind of percentage. I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on you observing this thing kind of snowball and build itself into its own entity in its own right throughout the course of making Wyrmwood.
Sure, yeah. Well, we've sort of gone into it with not so much a plan or strategy, but an idea that we wanted to just feed as much content online as possible. Because, I don't know, you look at a movie that's got a budget behind it, they can afford to go out, make the movie, keep everything secret, and then, release a bunch of stuff close to their release date. But we just didn't have any of that. So we had to sort of play to whatever strengths we had. And one of our main strengths, I think I mentioned already, is that we just have like really cool sort of like lots of really awesome photography and lots of really cool little snippets of small edits from behind the scenes, small snippets of scenes. So we'd always planned it was just like we're not going to try to keep anything secret. It's just we want to try to keep it as open and sort of transparent, I guess, as we can. Like we sort of talked about like a lot of the the plot specific details way before the release. Methane breathing zombies, guys in armor driving vehicles that run on the undead, and we already had a general idea of what we were doing. And then I think we just whenever we shot, we just kept trying to trickle it out, feed. Because we'd shoot over a 2-weekend period, but then we'd come away with like 150 still shots that looked really awesome. So you chuck a bit of sort of Photoshop cool stuff on that, and that gives you like 2 months or 3 months worth of content that you can sort of feed out once or twice a week. And so it was really, really trying to do that, and just conscious of just trying to give the people, essentially fans, people who like liking our Facebook, just trying to give them a reason to come back and keep looking and stay on the bandwagon until the release. And it was lucky. We really paid off. We already had like a sort of a pretty large sort of theatrical audience there waiting to go and watch the movie when it came out. Especially in Australia, like, man, it's hard to get a theatrical release for Australian productions on their own. But like horror, generally the distributors and
I know that's the thing. Yeah. I mean, that's been part of my chagrin. It's like I don't get it, because there's like not only are there kind of filmmakers in Australia that are doing really well in this industry in that genre in particular, but there is actually a desire for it too. Like I went on one of these horror movie campouts kind of that was run by these kind of mad kind of horror fans, and they basically just screen stuff. It's like you just camp out and they screen kind of loads of stuff. It's pretty cool, and they're always doing stuff in the big states around big. Like Perth and Brisbane and Melbourne, I think, as well as Sydney. And it's a great initiative. But I went to one of these, and you could see the passion from these people that come into this thing. They're dressed up, they're going bloody to the max, And I'm just like, this kind of defies what the some kind of the people that are pulling the strings are trying to let us believe. Because there is a passion there for it, and so I feel like Wyrmwood was a case in point of that, how it just kind of triggered this kind of thing. There is this hunger that people have for that kind of mad bloodlust kind of crazed balls to the wall kind of stuff. So it's a proving point then that there's an audience ripe and ready to watch this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time, people just sort of want, obviously they want to go and see a movie, they want some entertainment. They also want, fun things that they can go away and talk about with their friends. So, you can go and see, Avengers or something, and, you can talk about that for a week, which is cool. However, if you go to, like you say, a dress-up cosplay kind of thing, you can talk about it. But then you can also talk about, all the cool, socially kind of stuff that you got to talk about as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Where I think, Australian cinema, especially in the genre, you've got to sort of do that. You've got to give people the movie, but you've got to give them something on top of that as well.
Yeah.
I think, a sort of marketing strategy helps because, if you start talking about the release 6 months or 9 months out from the film, then you get people interested, you get people talking about it, and then they're interested to go and see it at the theatrical release. Whereas if you just release at the same time as X-Men or something like that, going to the movies is expensive, man.
That's true. It's true.
Like an Australian production that I've never heard of and I've never seen, or this big shiny Marvel X-Men thing, and you're paying the same amount for it. So what are you going to go for?
Yeah.
I love you to support the Australian industry, but you got to get people interested in it before they're making that choice.
Absolutely.
You can't expect someone to go up and be looking at the different movies right there and then and expect them to choose a much smaller budget film that they haven't heard about. Whereas if they had 9 months before, they've been chatting online and what's this? I've heard a lot about this and this and that. When they do get there, then you've got more of a chance. It's expensive or thing that I've been sort of talking about a couple of times online.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So, I guess that lends itself to my next question about Wyrmwood as a brand in its own right. And before we get onto the TV series that you guys have kind of had a teaser out, have you guys ever thought about kind of moving into the comic book world at all? Because it seems like it would lend itself so well in that environment.
I would love to. It's just expensive.
Yeah.
It's actually, if you want to make a good, graphic novel or comic book series, you've either got to have awesome writing and story, or you've got to have a kick-ass art, or a good between the two. So to find an artist it takes ages to draw. If you look at it, if you go and chat to a couple of artists that are sort of at that good level that you want, they're not cheap, man. And it's a competitive sort of world out there. Getting into comic books and graphic novels is just it's similar to movies. There's so much competition with it.
Cool. I mean, as I said, because there's such a unique visual style to Wyrmwood that you can kind of just see it translating so easily in comic book format. All right, so the next, obviously, big question is around Wyrmwood Chronicles of the Dead. You guys have kind of flicked out a teaser trailer. What was that, about 5 weeks ago now? So can you tell us a bit more about this? What stage is it at? Where are you hoping to kind of put this? Obviously, it's a TV series, but is there a platform ready for this, or how much of it has been shot? Where are we up to?
Mate, we are literally just at the very first stages of pitching it out to networks, financiers, and other larger producers. We've got a really kick-ass series Bible, an awesome pilot script, and of course the teaser as well. So the teaser is obviously, it gives you a taste and a flavour of what we sort of expect the TV series to look and feel like.
Yep.
Probably a little bit gorier.
Yes. Yeah. I've seen some of the fan reaction stuff that you guys have posted on Facebook. It's great.
It's not going to be that teaser is there just to grab attention.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be just slash hack slash gore all the way through the series. We're going to have key graphic moments of that, but then obviously we want more time to sort of expand the dramatic side of it and also bringing out the humorous shit. But not too much drama, but we're really strong on character. We want our characters to feel like real humans. We want fucked up shit to happen to them so they can be galvanized, iron getting thrown into the fire, tough, so they become even more badass to go out there and kick some ass.
Yeah.
But we haven't shot anything anything on it yet. It's probably going to go into production until some stage next year. Because we've still got to write. Like I say, we've written a pilot script, and we've just sort of starting to flesh out. Like we've got the series Bible, we've got it all planned out. But we've still actually got to go through and actually like write all of those episodes.
Sure.
Really positive feedback, which is awesome. Yeah. So far, it's just loving it.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, it really kind of triggered something again. You know, when people were watching the teaser when it dropped, it looks really good, and you get a real good sense of, like you said, what potentially the world could kind of move into. And it's funny we go kind of full circle in our conversation because there's a lot of Evil Dead kind of feel about it again, you know, and obviously that's now a successful series in its own right with Ash versus Evil Dead that's come about, and there's that kind of same kind of feel, you know, like there's blood and kind of craziness going on all over the place, but there is this kind of central kind of gravitas of the Ash character that kind of weighs it down. And you guys already established that with Brooke and Barry's kind of characters, so the people already know these people, and so kind of can't wait to see what comes out of that when it does materialize. My last question to you is just, have you got anything else on the horizon? What else are you guys doing, you know, at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, we're just about to go into production for our second feature film, which we're doing as a co-pro with Hopscotch, and that's like really, really kick-ass. I can't go into too much detail except to say that it's got like lots of demons, lots of guns, and again, like a bit of a touch of like sort of mystical mental powers to it and stuff. Oh wow!
Okay, nice.
We're about to probably make a few sort of public statements around that in the coming future. So watch this space, and it's going to be really, really badass.
Nice. It sounds good, buddy. Can't wait to see what comes out of that too. Did you guys write that yourself, the script for it, or so it's your own project?
Kevin's going to direct, and I'm producing.
Yeah, sweet. The dream team back again. I love it. Cool. Look, I think we'll bow out there, buddy. But look, I really appreciate you taking some time out, as I said, and busy schedule. And it's really good to see you guys kind of getting in the mix. And you know, I can't wait to see what you guys churn out next. It'll be awesome.
Mate, watch it. You're gonna love it, man. It's gonna be a really, really kick-ass project.
Sounds good.
You're listening to the Surgeons of Horror podcast. Music supplied by Peter Nezik. For more discussions or podcasts, head over to surgeonsofhorror.com or head over to our Facebook and Twitter sites for the latest news and updates.